Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. I'm Miles here with Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Feeling good, man. It's been a wild playoffs. Happy to be here and talk about it.
Yeah, it definitely has been a wild playoffs, and unfortunately, for me individually, just wrapping up school, we had finals week all last week, so haven't been able to hop onto the pod for a little bit. But we are now back. It is summertime for me, meaning it is full on playoff time. And boy, oh boy, we had a wild first round over the last week that we will actually recap later on in a full episode that'll be coming out in the next coming days or so. But here we've got the recap from Sunday, May 4th. We had the final game of the first round and the first game of the second round overall in the playoffs. So let's get right into it. We'll start off with the first game of the second round. The number one seed Cleveland Cavaliers against the number four seeded Indiana Pacers. This was a series where both teams were coming off of very impressive first round series victories with Cleveland wiping the floor with Miami, Indiana beating Milwaukee in five, both teams having a lot of rest after that. And then here in game one, Pacers came out on fire, got off to a very good start. Cavs were able to make some sort of run out of it, made some comebacks, but the Pacers, every time the Cavs tried to make some sort of comeback, the Pacers had an answer and it kept up the whole game.
Yeah, obviously it's difficult without your starting point guard Darius Garland for the Cavs, and well, one bright spot was Ty Jerome off the bench for them, and I was wondering, do you think like they need to put him in the starting lineup?
Yeah, this game was definitely
Is Garland
interesting.
gonna be injured throughout like what's hurt on
Yeah,
what?
The Garland news. That's going to be the biggest question regarding this series. In our next podcast, where we fully preview and predict, all those series here, and go in depth with them. I mean, the number one question with this series is going to be, what's Darius Garland's toe looking like for this series? Because he missed the final two games of the Miami series with the injury. Wasn't sure if that was just a precautionary thing, like, man, we're already up 2 games to none. This is a nagging thing from the end of the regular season. We should rest you, through these games that we should win. Cavs obviously dominated in Miami. But then him being out for this game
Yeah,
seems like it's a little bit more major than just a, nagging thing from the end of the regular season. So, I mean, if Darius Garland is going to be out for longer than this game, then I think Cleveland could definitely look at a lineup change, for this game or for the rest of the games in this series. But I just have to say, man, the Indiana Pacers played a heck of a game. Obviously, both of us are Cavs fans here. We got Joey as well, who isn't able to make it on today. And I'll say there have not been a whole lot of games this year where I feel like in the games we've lost, in the few games that we lost, that we got beat. I think the Pacers earned this win because of their defense making it difficult for the Cavs to get their outside game going. It was the worst three-point shooting game of the season for the Cavaliers, and the Pacers just continuing to be on fire like they were in the Milwaukee series.
yeah. I mean, you look. Donovan was 1 for 11. You talked about. I think the Cavs. You said we're 9 for 38 as a team, and yeah, I wouldn't expect that to happen again and throughout the rest of the series. But coming in, you knew that Indiana was gonna be a difficult matchup for the Cavs because Turner and Siakam, I think, match up well with our two bigs, and I know we both picked this series to go 7 games, so Garland being out for this game was not just surprising, but like sort of big news, impactful news.
Yeah, no question about it. Nick and I both had the Cavs winning this series in 7 games. And th- I don't know. It's always tough when you lose game one as a fan because you automatically kind of, worry. I'm sure Cavs fans are overreacting a little bit to a certain extent. Even though, like you said, they shot horribly from the 3-point line. Hard to see them going this rough from downtown again. But you never know because I thought coming into this series that I thought that the Cavs would, win this series, but the Pacers definitely have things that can give Cleveland problems, particularly their super fast style of play. their physical defense on the perimeter. I mean, they play like a full court press the entire game, and their ability for them just to have a bunch of role players that can shoot the ball. I mean, they had 8 players that made a three-point shot. The Cavs made 9 total in this game. And for the Pacers, it was led by Andrew Nemhard, who was unbelievable in this game. 23 points, 7 of 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. He was ridiculous, especially in the fourth quarter when the Cavs eventually came back, took the lead. He made a bunch of big shots. Neesmith's 17 points were huge. And then Halliburton did a great job distributing. But I mean, I just can't say enough about how well the Pacers played in this game. I mean, this was high level offensive basketball from the Pacers on the outside and the Cavs from the inside. Because I mean, that's another thing too. The Cavs shot horribly from three, and they still put 112 points up on the board, only making 9 threes. So I think that's something to, you know, that's a positive takeaway from this game moving forward, that they were able to find other ways to score outside of the 3-point line. But they're going to need their shots to fall if they want to actually win this series.
Yeah, well, Indy came out and took advantage of the fact that Sam Merrill was in the starting lineup and along with Max Strus. So like the perimeter defense wasn't great. And they capitalized with 36 first quarter points. So that kind of set the tone. And I don't know, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They didn't beat a 1 seed, but they're solid.
Yeah, honestly, the first quarter really did set the tone for the entire game. I mean, it seemed like, I mean, they definitely came in more ready to go. I mean, their style of play, the Cavs definitely took a while to adjust to it. Ended up making a game out of it, but just not able to really get it done that down the stretch here. As far as game two goes, with starting lineup changes, I am very curious to see what Kenny Atkinson will do if he keeps the same lineup with Sam Merrill in there, because he has been good for the Cavs this year with his shooting and the improved defense. Um, you mentioned a guy like Ty Jerome who had 21 points, 8 assists in this game. It was this was kind of a weird game watching it for Ty Jerome, because while he had those points, the assists, he had a plus 10 in the plus minus. It didn't seem like it was, his best game. I mean, he took 20 shots to get to it, and I'm interested to see how he will kind of adjust, because he's not the most athletic, speedy guy in the world, and it kind of showed a few plays where he was trying those slow motion floaters in the lane. There were a few times where it got blocked, or he just didn't get really a good look at the basket, or he was slowly bringing it up against the Pacers' full court defense, and the Cavs got an 8-second violation from it. I mean, those things are just things that he will need to adjust with. But I'm also curious to see if this is really a series where he will be able to play well, because if he's going to need to take 20 shots to only get 21 points, then that's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, no, I mean, he'll be, excuse me, he'll be around 15 I would imagine. Um, if Garland's back in the lineup, 12 to 15, but I think Mobley and Allen can get a couple more shots up. I didn't get the chance to watch most of this game, but did they run any pick and rolls for Allen, or I'm sorry, for Mobley as the ball handler? Because I think that would be,
They did a few times. Nothing too crazy though. I would love to see that a little bit more. We see sometimes the inverted pick and rolls with Mobley handling and maybe a guard setting the screen.
yeah,
But I think it would be interesting to see what the big to big, pick and roll coverage would look like, because I think it's worked, at certain times in the past for this team. I thought Mobley had a good game, 20 points, 10 rebounds. He was efficient from the field. That if you take a look at, just the rosters, especially with Garland out, Mobley has the advantage on Siakam as far as the interior, the defense, and just causing havoc down there. So I think Mobley is someone that's going to need to have a big series for the Cavaliers. But overall, I mean, game two, it's a must-win game now for the Cavs after losing game one. You don't want to go down 0-2 at home, even though this team can win on the road. But you definitely need to, go for game two and try to get that victory. And honestly, I think that you just try to get, your guys to play better. I mean, I think that all these players can play better than they showed in game one. I don't think anyone had really a super standout game. And just trust that your shots will fall and that the Pacers won't shoot 53% from three. I mean, I think that it could come down to that both teams just play kind of back to normal, but you can't always rely on that because you never know. It's the playoffs. Same thing could happen in game 2, so Cavs will need to adjust to the way the Pacers have played. But overall, this was a fantastic game for the pure basketball fan because the shot making from the Pacers was fantastic and the atmosphere there in Cleveland was awesome for game 1.
Yeah, speaking of setting the tone for the series with game one. Game two will be Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excited to see how the Cavs will play in that game. But let's move on to the final game of the first round. This is the second game of the night. Game 7 between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. The Rockets, after being down 3 games to 1, taking care of business in impressive fashion in both games 5 and 6 to force a game 7 back on their home floor. But the Warriors experience just too much, able to get it done. A 103-89 victory there in Houston to take game 7 and the first round series. A very, very low scoring game. This is a very
Yeah,
deceiving score because there were a lot
yeah,
of buckets in the final couple minutes when it was already, sealed. But man, this reminded me of game 1 of this series where neither team could really score, but the Warriors stars and role players were made the big plays, and that's the biggest reason they were able to take the win.
yeah, absolutely. I think it was 84 to like 72 with like 5 minutes left or something. It was yeah, it was I mean, Houston really put up I mean, they came back. They were on their home court rather, but Golden State came out early and really took control in the first half. They're up what 14 or so at halftime, 13
Yeah, around there. I mean, they had a very comfortable lead for most of
most
the
of the
first
game.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the entire game. I mean, yeah, to the point of it being a low scoring game in the first half. Let's see, the score was 39-29 Warriors with 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Like
Yeah.
we've
What I
seen
was
some
getting
games where
to
that's the first quarter score.
yeah, it is in the modern NBA. You're right. It's a first quarter score, but they did it with defense in the third quarter. Only gave them 19 points to the Warriors, and I saw in the third quarter, I saw a stat that like Amen Thompson scored or assisted on like 16 of their 23 points or something like that.
Yeah, he was definitely their best player, attacking the rim, but it's something that's going to be talked about a lot this offseason with the Rockets going forward on the fact that they just need some consistent offense because I mean
Yeah,
throughout this series, I mean there was a reason they were down 3 games to 1. It was they weren't able to get that consistent offensive force, in this series. And I mean, really throughout the regular season. I mean, Jalen Green was their leading scorer, 21 points per game. We know how inconsistent he can be, and we saw that in this series. I mean, I want to see what he ended up averaging for the series. I'm gonna guess it's probably around like 13 to 14 points
13.
per game,
Yeah,
and that includes a 38-point game 2. The fact that you could average 13 points per game in a series and you scored nearly 40 in one game just shows the, you know, kind of on and off switch that you can have with Jalen Green.
yeah. I mean, absolutely right. And in Game 6, like it was Van Vliet that did it. I think he got them another win in this series. I'm trying to check right now. He had 29 in Game 6, and now Game 2 was the Jalen Green game. But I mean, whether it's Van Vliet or Shengun or Jalen Green, there's just not a whole lot on that end, on that side of the ball. If it doesn't sort of come off of a slashing on Ben Thompson or him making a play, but he's just really not like at that level where he can like be the engine of the Rockets offense yet.
No, and I think we did get to really see that in this series. Where on the other hand, for the Golden State Warriors, their guys got it done. Their guys got it done in a game where Steph Curry. You can take a look at the stats. He ended up finishing with 22 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, good efficiency. He didn't score until the final minute of the first half, where the Warriors were still dominating, and that was because Buddy Buckets, Buddy Heald, had probably the best game of his career.
And
33 points.
Draymond had two threes early.
Yeah, Draymond Green had 2 threes. I mean, in the first half, the leading scorers were Buddy Hield and Draymond Green in a game 7 on the road, and Buddy Hield finished with 33 points, only missing 3 shots, 12 of 15 from the floor, 9 for 11 from 3. Draymond Green had 16 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. Jimmy Butler had 28 and 7. I mean, their offense just looked good. I mean, there were times where the Rockets defense did a great job of slowing the Warriors down, but I mean, overall, throughout the course of the game, I mean, again, it was very similar to games 1, 3, and 4 that the Warriors won before, where they were able to find, offense from other players on this team. I mean, this is a team that does have depth, across the board, kind of, but it kind of depends on if, those guys are really feeling aggressive and wanting to go and shoot the ball. Because I've said it multiple times, especially when the Warriors have lost, I feel like they have a lot of players that are sometimes hesitant to shoot the ball even when they're open. And they were not in this game. Their guys came to play, especially in that starting lineup.
Yeah. Excuse me, man. Like you said, there's some depth there, but the starting lineup scored 100 points, and the bench was what, one
Well,
for
1 for
11.
11,
Yeah.
1 for
Um,
11, 3 points.
Buddy buckets and second half Steph with like 17 or 16 points.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the shots that he made were crazy down the stretch. Deep threes, ridiculous reverse layups. It was crazy. And the Warriors avoid blowing a 3-1 lead to the Rockets. It would have been their second time blowing a 3-1 lead, which is kind of crazy to think about, especially if it happened in this fashion. But the Warriors end up winning the series in 7 games. Houston falls, but man, what a season for the Houston Rockets. Coming into this season, I don't know what our highest expectations probably were for this team to maybe sneak into the 6th seed, something
Yeah,
like that. Playing
yeah.
tournament 6th seed after not making the playoffs for the last 5 seasons, and getting the number 2 seed in a loaded, tough Western Conference. Very impressive. And taking the Warriors here, to 7 games, but definitely some things that they can take going forward from this playoff experience. Now, all their young guys have their first playoff series in them, and very interested to see what they do this offseason because, again, they definitely need some scoring, and there are potentially going to be some scoring superstars on the market that the Rockets could maybe look at, like a Kevin Durant or something like that. So
You think they'll target Kevin Durant?
I personally think so. Out of the guys that may be available, I mean, well, right now, who would be available right now? Durant and Giannis will be available, but I honestly don't know if I like Giannis's fit on this team. I think this team is screaming a Kevin Durant, or maybe even on a lesser scale, you could go for maybe Kobe White if the Bulls want to deal him. I mean, he's a little more consistent than Jalen Green, but this team is screaming veteran, consistent scoring because again, they did not have that. And yeah, I mean, you look at their scores throughout this series. We already mentioned Jalen Green. I think Amen Thompson's going to be very, very good, but he still is a while away from even being a reliable jump shooter. He'll need to get that in his game. But I think he's going to. I think he may eventually end up being the Rockets' best player. Um,
How come you
without
don't like
question.
Giannis in Houston?
Because I guess it would be cool. I kind of think Amen Thompson is kind of similar to Giannis on the offensive end. I feel
Yeah,
like if
two
Giannis was
non-shooters.
in Houston, there's already a lack of 3-point shooting, and
Yeah,
that would kind of just add to it. I mean, you look at this game alone, the Rockets attempted 18 threes. The Warriors made 18 threes out of 43. I mean, there's definitely a lack of 3-point shooting there. And in the modern NBA, you need to at least get a whole bunch up. And, normally it's Fred Van Vliet and Jalen Green throwing up a bunch of threes, and those guys aren't the most consistent from three. So that's why I think Durant would be better. But I guess Giannis would be a fun fit for this team.
does this kind of have the feel of Memphis Grizzlies 2 seed from a couple years ago? Like, what if they don't make a move? Or I feel like it, you know,
I was also thinking, what if Ja Morant was available? I
that
don't
would be
I don't
interesting.
I don't mind his fit on this Rockets team, as well. I know, guys like Jackson Goglin are fantasizing about a Devin Booker possibility if, the Suns make him available. But Either way, Rockets got a big offseason. They're going to be one of the big teams to watch coming this offseason because, well, I mean, we'll see. Maybe they will stand pat and just keep this roster going forward. But I think that they could be in prime position to get a veteran scorer. Um, but we'll see. But overall, big time year for the Houston Rockets. Shout out to them for a fantastic season. And Golden State, with all the inconsistencies throughout the year, they get Jimmy Butler midseason, and now they're headed to the second round to face off against the six-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll tell you what, I did not expect a Timberwolves Warriors series
Yeah,
in the
6-7
second.
matchup, baby. Should be interesting. Hey, a quick shout out to Steve Kerr for playing, all his starters over 40 minutes. I don't know, it's crazy to do that. I don't know, I'm just kidding. Buddy Hield only played 37 minutes, by the way, and I was being very sarcastic and making a joke about JJ Redick. So if you didn't catch on, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's right. Joey and I had a long conversation about that on the previous podcast. But yeah,
I did
we'll
listen to
preview.
that. You guys talked about a couple of the key things that I think we'll cover tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Coming out tomorrow, or maybe even later today, depending on the timing of everything. Nick and I will be back on here for the full Run on the Paint podcast to recap all of the round one series since we haven't had a full chance to do that, as well as fully preview and predict, I guess, the other three second round series. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA postseason content. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.